Filme Shilmy videos, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Firstly, Vibha, how have you been? How have you been adjusting to the current situation, given the fact that it's a complete unprecedented circumstances? How has it been going for you?
It's of course this pandemic has affected all of us in a really big way, and it's we're all feeling it, and we all realize it. When the Honorable Prime Minister announced the lockdown, none of us really were sure how we were going to work from home, stay at home for such a long period of time, and not
Yeah.
be able to go out, not be able to interact with people, because a lot of our jobs really involve interacting with people
Yes.
and face to face with people, right? And
Mm,
I think my team and I are, we enjoy doing that as well. And both the roles that I handle require for us to be in front of people, to talk to people, to interact with people. And I think we get a lot of business done that way as well.
mm,
So we're really not sure how this is going to be for all of us.
oh,
But I also have a very, very diverse team, and I think we all sort of adapted pretty quickly to it. We had that time of how we're going to do it, and then
right.
I think from how we're going to do it to actually understanding that this is the new norm right now. Using
Yes.
technology, interacting with each other on a daily basis, reaching out to clients, being understanding of the situation,
Mm,
working very collaboratively. And I think my team and I didn't forget of one very important thing, which is that during these times you also have to have a lot of empathy
yeah.
towards your clients
Mm,
and to people that you're interacting with. So that's how we went about it,
oh,
and I do want to give a shout out to my team, that every single person in my team really came together and sort of made it work for all of us. And now it just seems like
yeah.
this is the new norm.
Definitely, we're all in this together. I think that's
Yes,
definitely
absolutely. That's one of the key things to take home.
It's interesting as well. I think Z has that the tagline of Vasudeva Kutumbakum as well.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yes, the world is my family.
Exactly.
And I think we've always believed in it. We've always taken it very personally, that
Right.
and imbibed Vasudev Kutumbakam to the core.
Yeah, definitely. No, absolutely.
Yes.
But just speaking a bit more about Z Studios, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the content that comes from Z, and it's always a pleasure to cover it and I guess review films. In fact, a special mention to a film called Anandi Gopal, which I
Oh,
watched.
yes, yes.
Fantastic
Brilliant.
film.
Yes, yes.
And it's just wonderful to see, especially last
And
year.
very timely, right? And it's
Yes.
so relevant in today's time, where that the frontline workers are
Mm.
really, really, God send right now. And I think that film sends a huge, huge message for all of us right now. Yes, a film that probably a tribute to doctors, really, and a film that we all must probably watch. A film that's very close to my heart.
Yes, exactly. I think films like that deserve to be in the Oscars. Actually, honestly, I even said
Oh
this
yes,
came out. So I'm a huge fan of the content at Z. In fact, last year was quite rewarding as well,
yes,
especially several successful films in Hindi as well as other regional languages. So,
yes.
having started the year with a bang with good news, I mean, what were the initial for 2020?
I don't know if a lot of people watching this are aware that in a span of very short time period, which is 3 years, we turned around the business. We really went from new kids on the block to becoming leaders in the film distribution, Indian film distribution space internationally, and that was really a big success for us. And 2020, we not only wanted to maintain our leadership position, but also wanted to solidify our leadership position. Secondly, we wanted to get into a few co-production with other countries to
Mm.
take stories far and beyond just the Indian audience. And we wanted to, and I've always felt that some stories need to go far and beyond, and are not only for Indian audiences, but it's for a wider audience.
Sure.
And I do think that filmmaking can be and some stories can be more collaborative. So therefore the vision was to get into a few co-productions,
Mm.
and thirdly, we having like I said, having been leaders in the film distribution space,
Mm.
we also not only distributed Indian films, we also started distributing non-Indian
Yeah.
films, and we wanted to take that further as well. We very successfully distributed Filipino films like Bust by, Miss Granny, Kita Kita, just to name a few. So we wanted to really take these three things ahead in 2020.
Mm. And it's wonderful as well because the production houses really, really excelled. I think from the first, I believe one of the first initial productions was Gadar, right? Ek Prem Katha
Oh
Hai.
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
since then, it's come such a long way, and it's
It
wonderful
has.
to see that
It has,
trajectory.
and I think kudos to the vision of our management, who really stuck to making films, and not only making films. I think last 3 years they've understood that while it's important to make and tell good stories,
Mm.
it's also equally important to have good distribution in place so that your films can reach the right audience.
Indeed, that is a very, very, very apt view, and I think it's very relevant as well.
Yes.
Since obviously lockdown has had a major effect on the world, I think it's completely changed our definition of normal, completely
Yes.
changed the landscape of the world itself. So, from your experience as the head global syndication and international film distribution at Zee, how do you think the production and distribution has been coping with the COVID-19 outbreak?
I think these are very tough times for both production, distribution, and the theatrical business at large, right? There's no production happening. All productions are halted across the world, right? Not just in India. The whole world is under a lockdown.
Mm.
There are films that were on floor, which cannot be produced. And along with that comes really an entourage of people that we don't see. So we
Mm.
see just the film and we enjoy, and we don't really know that there's a whole lot of entourage of people, from the makeup artists to
Mm.
who are catering for food, to vanity van, the guys who provide for vanity van, or the daily wage
Sure.
earners that we say. So all those people are obviously affected by it. There were some films that were finished, were about to release, but aren't able to release. So there's interest rates that's piling up. There were films that had started investing money in marketing, that that money is lost. There are films that, like I said, that were on floor. Now, even when the lockdown, and what we, as outsiders, what we don't realize is that even when the lockdown opens, it's not like the next day they will start
Yeah.
producing or
Mm.
get production. They will have to wait for the next schedule, which is maybe
Sure.
rain or whatever that weather restrictions they need to combat.
Mm.
So of course, it's a really, really tough time for the film industry. And I do think that the film industry has done a fairly decent job in coming together and doing whatever they can for the daily wage earners. But it is a tough time.
It's tough. No, it is, and I'm glad, and it's so true what you said. I think there is a huge machinery behind a film. Like for example, we just see the finished product, but
Yes.
It's and I've been on sets before, so I can completely resonate with that as well. I know it's very difficult to make films, and it's a gradual process. But I think, like you also mentioned, since so many films, of course, have been postponed as well, do you think it would be a struggle for the industry to keep up with the cinematic releases once the lockdown ends?
A lot of I'm looking at it in a different way. I think the first challenge obviously is going to be, and I've had various discussions with my team and with the various stakeholders. I think the bigger challenge is going to be to get audience to the theaters, right? It's
Yeah.
not really about getting films to the theater. I mean, of course, it is that as well, because a lot of films are making a choice. Not a lot, a few of them are making a choice to go direct to digital.
Mm.
Uh, but even when the lockdown ends, and with the government's guidelines, when the theaters do open, the bigger challenge in my view is going to be to get audience to the theaters. It's very important for us, as distributors and exhibitors, to make people safe. That's when they're going to come back, and
Mm.
that's when I don't think it's a challenge for many films to be releasing. I think that's a good situation to have, because people have been been locked in, and they probably do want to experience cinema on the big screen with the community, with the crowd that they're used to. So
Sure.
I think I definitely think that that's going to be a bigger
So,
challenge.
so rather than the actual cinematic impact or the cinematic releases, it's more about society and how confident they will feel with coming back into the cinemas and
Absolutely.
watching the film. Right.
Absolutely. And there are some countries that have already started experimenting with social distancing ways of watching cinema. Like in UAE, they've started experimenting with drive-in, which I think
Yeah.
is a very unique.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of I'm a fan of it, and I'm curious. I was just having a discussion with my team, and one of my team members said that they will be going next week, and I said I really want a full lowdown of how the experience was. So I think, and I've said it before in numerous forums, that with crisis. There is with crisis comes opportunities, and I
Mm,
think
mm.
while look at the crisis, we have to really pay focus to the opportunity that's coming our way, and take that forward, rather than saying this is the crisis, but let's look for opportunities in these crises. And I'm very kicked about the drive-in.
Definitely, and I think this is it. I think sometimes it's really weird actually. I say this all the time, but sometimes in crisis you actually find a weird sense of solace. You find a
Of,
weird sense of peace and a weird sense of direction,
of
which you
course,
might not have otherwise. So I think that's a very good point you made there as well.
yes, yes.
I think also, I think the landscape of cinema has completely changed. I mean, before lockdown as well. I mean, India and the world currently is going through a digital revolution. In fact, due to the digital, you and I are speaking today, and the
Of
fact that
course.
we're getting to enjoy home entertainment as well. So, in particularly, what role has Z5 played in providing the home entertainment? I mean, has there been any series or originals that you've managed to binge watch and have enjoyed thoroughly?
So, I want to come to your first question first, saying, what role Z has played. And like we spoke before, that, Z truly believes and imbibes that world is my family.
Mm.
And I think Z and Z5 has always been at the forefront of having a wholesome entertainment and reaching out to an audience, a wider audience, right? And whether it's not just the Hindi speaking audience, it's Hindi, Marathi, Punjabi, Telugu, so that everybody, so that there's something for everybody
Everyone. Mm.
that they have to offer. And I think, therefore, we've obviously been able to see a surge in both our viewership and consumption of the OTT platform. Z5 has had some very interesting series that they've launched, some interesting series in the past, some really interesting movies. One of them we spoke about, which was Anandi. One of my favorite series, which I've binge watched while I don't get a lot of time to binge watch, is Karanjit Kaur, and I think it's very brave of the producers and Z5 to actually put out something like that. It's Untold Story of Sunny Leone.
Oh,
So it basically touches on Sunny Leone the person, and not Sunny Leone as we've really always
mm,
perceived her to
yeah.
be. And it really touches the right chord, I think. So that's one of the series that I've been able to binge watch.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I really want to watch State of Siege. I've been so busy with a lot of interviews. I've not had the chance, but I really want to watch State of Siege. I've heard such amazing things about it. I think that's
Yes.
definitely one series I need to watch. So hopefully that will be on my to-do list once I get some free time for sure. But I think again a very interesting sort of, I guess, trend or pattern that I've noticed as well, that Z Studios International has backed several films which they either present a very pivotal and unsung chapter in Indian history. Like last year, we had Kesari, we had Anandi Gopal, Manikarnika, for example, as well. And as well, we've also had narratives which sort of, I guess, are path breaking and tackle a societal taboo as well at some point. So, to what extent are these subjects considered when choosing to back a certain project?
So I want to also go back to when we started the whole distribution business, and there were basically two choices in front of me. One was to follow everybody else and start pitching for the big or the bigger films, right?
Yeah,
The bigger films that you think are going to make money.
yeah.
Um, but I they didn't resonate so much with me. Instead of that, I really went with do I choose that? And that's very limited in nature, right? There are 4 or 5 or 2 per year.
Mm,
Or do I look at subjects, right? Do I look at actors or do I look at subjects? And that's when I saw this one great subject called Hindi medium. And I start with Hindi medium because now, everybody knows Hindi medium for what it is. Irfan was, not that well known, not well known, but he wasn't a box office, collector. So I think, but what I saw in the story was that, there are parents across the globe, whether it's in India or whether it's in the US, knowing my personal experience having lived in the US, the parents will travel to any length for their kids. They will do whatever it takes for their kids. And, the question that I asked myself was, therefore, why would this film not resonate with people? Why would it not
mm,
make money at the box office? Why will it not travel far and beyond?
mm,
So I basically put my money on that, and of course, until the last the a day before the release, I was really nervous, and I asked myself, did I make the right decision or not?
mm.
And since then, we all know it's traveled across the world. It's done well
Yeah.
in China, in Japan, in US, in UAE.
Mm,
So somewhere I think that gave me a little bit of confidence to go for the subject rather than the actor. And I think that's what we've done. If you've tracked our journey for the last 3 years, we've really just looked at subjects, whether it's Bareli Ki Barfi, again, unknown stars at that
yeah.
point in time.
Mm,
Ayushmann was a big name. Now he is. But at that point in time, he
mm,
wasn't a big name. Whether it's Bareli Ki Barfi, Razi, Veera the Wedding, so all of Mom, Secret Superstar. So they were all really subject-oriented films that went
mm,
on to become history at the box office. And I think that's the path then we as a team took, that we're going to really look at subjects rather than looking at actors necessarily.
Hmm. So would it be also right to say that is that you separate yourself from your position as a distributor and just actually look at yourself as a person? Which story would resonate the most with me? Would you, is that could I sort of, would that be the right way
Yes,
to do it?
yes, that's correct. Yes.
Hmm. I think so. I think it's very true as well. And I think generally Indian cinema right now is at a very empowering phase. You know, I know there's been a lot of remakes and a lot of remixes going around, but if we look at the general picture, it is very empowering. In fact, as well, Zee Entertainment Enterprises has some formidable women leaders. Of course, one of them is yourself as well. So how empowering does it actually feel to see women being center stage behind the camera as well as in front of it?
So I have a little bit of a different view on this. I think, when we talk about leaders, I think, when we talk about male leaders, we never say male leaders, right? We just leaders. But whenever we talk about women leaders, we always attach that word, and we always
Right.
we generalize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we sort of need to stop doing it, maybe. And I think, and I again go back to my organization, because they're not looking. That's not how
Right.
they're looking at me. They've always empowered me and other women in our company without really saying that, you're the women leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where they're saying you are the leader in your area of work. And I think that's how we need to start looking at women or leaders in general, right? Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that women do, whether it's in technology, whether it's in finance, whether it's in entertainment. Some of really good stories have come from, look at Razi, look at all the, look at
Yeah.
Razi, look at Veer the Wedding. I'm a fan. So I think we need to change our perspective, and we need to, while some companies do, and I'm always thankful to Z, because that's how, that's it. It stems from the top, and that's how they look at you.
Mm,
And I think how we need to look at women, just as leaders,
absolutely.
not attach
Mm.
not attach the gender next to it, because
Yeah,
that's
no, absolutely. No, I think you're very right there. In fact, Shabana Azmiji once said in an interview that I did with her that it's about high time that we remove the prefix of female centric in
yes.
cinema. And I think that's a very good point. But I think it's just so wonderful to see so many great leaders in Z as a whole, taking center stage and taking the production forward. But films and business aside, of course, during such times, I mean, how do you keep your physical and mental health intact? Because it's very difficult at the moment. Like I said, it's unprecedented. It's beyond what we have ever expected as humans. So, what have you been doing to maintain a good mental hygiene and physical health as well?
So like I said, this has affected all of us in a big way. And in the beginning, it was hard for all of us, because we didn't know what we're going to do with the 14 or 21 days of lockdown, right? That's what was announced
Mm.
initially. And it just kept, and 21 days seemed like,
A walk in the
like
park.
a whole decade, that what are we going to do. But I think the sooner you sort of adapt to it and know that this is going to be the new norm, it's easier to get by it. And I think that's what I did. I made a schedule for myself, like, I still wake up at 6:30, get my workout done. And I think that's very important, to really take care of yourself from a health perspective. I tell people, work out, meditate, walk, do whatever you can. Listen to music. Just have, those 1-2 hours to yourself that can actually center you and ground you. Which for some people is working out. It could be music. It could be dancing. It could be meditation. It could be cooking.
Mm.
So it doesn't anything that really centers you, grounds you, and lets you have a me time. So I take that, time for myself for like about 1 or 2 hours every morning. And I think in addition to that, it's the people around you that play a very important role in having you, your mental health in place.
Mm,
So you need that, right? You need your teams to come together. You need collaboration. You need your families to stay together. So I think a combination of all of this has really helped
mm.
uh, with mental and physical health.
Definitely. In fact, I read up somewhere that physical exercises actually really helps with our mental health. So it goes very hand in hand, I think, as well.
Yes, yes,
You can't have one and not the other. It has to
yes.
kind of
In,
a combination of both.
Absolutely. In fact, my entire team came together for this, and every day they will post, what they've done, how many steps they've taken at home, what workout they've done. And one of my team members also started a 21-day push-up challenge for all of us. Yeah. So as a team, I forget the count, but it's in thousands. As a team, we're supposed to do some thousand odd push-ups in 21 days. So I think, as leaders and as teams, we can also ensure the well-being of all our near and dear ones, right? Not everybody is motivated to work
Exactly.
out every day, or to meditate, or to
Sure.
take time out for themselves, for their physical health. And I think these are ways in which you can, that's why, in times like this, you really have to think of us together, rather than saying that I'm only going to take care of my health, but it's, us care
Collaboration.
of our health together.
Mm, mm, no, indeed, and I think that's again. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and I think it's important people think that because there's still some portions of people in our society who still are like, "हाँ, उनकी problem है, मेरी तो नहीं है, तो मैं क्यों?"
Absolutely.
And I
Yes.
think that's the
Yes.
sort of mentality that needs to go, especially in this pandemic. But I know we've sort of spoken a bit about what you've been up to and stuff in lockdown. But what has been the greatest learning for you during this pandemic, during this whole ordeal?
I think I just sort of touched upon it. The
Yeah.
biggest learning for me is that, in times like this, which is difficult for all of us, I think it's about us and not me, which we're so used to. And secondly, second learning for me is that, we need to have a collaborative approach to business, to personal lives, to problems, and that's how we can go and move forward in a situation like this. And third, and it's like Bible for me. Third is that every crisis, every problem, every challenge has an opportunity.
Yeah.
You really need to look at that opportunity rather than looking at the crisis. Yes, there is a crisis, but with every
Mm,
crisis comes an opportunity. You look at how seamlessly people are collaborating with each other, how people are doing business, showing empathy to each other while doing business in times like this. So I think, and finding newer ways, right? I've heard a lot of webinars, and it's very interesting to see how people have while, businesses are getting affected and are affected, and but it's also really motivating to see how they're finding new ways of doing business,
mm.
reinventing themselves. So I think these are the key three learnings that I've had in this
Wow.
time.
I think those are very interesting sort of lessons, but very relevant lessons as well. So I think that's amazing to hear. And I think a lot of people hearing this video or watching this video rather will be inspired by those and will hopefully, उस बातों पे थोड़ा सा अमल भी करेंगे, I'm sure.
I hope.
So finally, Vibha, just to sort of wrap up, Z Studios International has a lineup of some exciting films. I personally am excited for The Cargill Girl. I am really wanting to watch that film as soon as possible. So what can we expect from some of these movies in the future?
Like we've said before, Z Studios has always come with a really good lineup of movies. We believe in entertaining our audience. We also believe in bringing stories that will resonate with you, that will touch your heart. So I think without really sharing any names, I would just leave it at that. That wait
Okay.
for us to announce the interesting lineup that we have for 2020.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I think we all have our eyes glued to our social media and to every sort of outlet that's there just to wait and see the next development. But thank you so much, Vibha, for joining me on this wonderful conversation on film and cinema and how you have been such a formidable leader at Z Studios. So thank you so much for giving us the cinema that you have and wishing you all the very best
Thank
for
you
the
so Thank you so much, Anuj, for having me and interacting with me. And stay safe, everyone,
Thank
and
you.
stay safe.
Absolutely. Yes, stay safe. And thank you everyone who has tuned in as well, this chat. And look forward to seeing what Z has to sort of offer us. And can't wait to sort of speak with you again super soon.
Yes, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.